Hey everyone, it's John here from MCKAY Hockey, back with another video, and this video is going to be my NHL trade deadline predictions. So I'm going to go over 25 potential trade targets. I'm not going to go through like everyone. I'm going to be making some videos. I'll be live on NHL trade deadline day, so I'll be talking a lot more about different players, depth players, but these are 25, we'll say bigger players, bigger targets, players that have been talked about a lot. So of course, if you are new to the channel, subscribe. Hit that like button. Definitely leave your comment. Thank you so much for the support on the channel. I'm looking forward to making more content. But for this video, like I said, trade deadline predictions. I'm going to put a player into the conversation and talk about maybe a target for a team-wise or like ultimately the final destination where I see them ending up before the deadline. So thank you for clicking on the video and let's get right into it. So starting with these names. So Kyle Palmieri, I see the Bruins or the Islanders. I see the Islanders as the perfect fit. I think Lou Lamoriello, he was kind of in that in-between period of when the Devils got Palmieri and then he left to Toronto. But I think Lou Lamoriello is going to look for that kind of leadership guy, that two-way forward. They lost Anders Lee. I think Palmieri is a great fit. Taylor Hall, Avalanche or Islanders. The only way this works is in two reasons. If one, the Avalanche can send a contract over and retain half, or a second team gets involved. For the Islanders, I see it more realistic. I know a lot of Islanders fans don't really want Taylor Hall, which for me is kind of crazy. I understand there's certain perspectives of behind the scenes of what's happened, but I think if you miss out on Palmieri and maybe miss out on a guy like Nick Foligno, Taylor Hall could be an option for the Islanders, because if the Sabres retain half and you send over one of those contracts that the Islanders have, it could work. Leo Komarov. I know Islanders fans want to rid themselves of the Komarov contract. You send Komarov to Buffalo, retained half of that Taylor Hall contract, second round pick and maybe a B prospect. I could see it happening. So Palmieri, Taylor Hall, I'm seeing Bruins, Avalanche, Islanders, all three of those teams in those conversations. David Savard, Winnipeg Jets. I think the Winnipeg Jets definitely make the move for a defenseman. If it's not Savard, it's Ekholm. If it's not Ekholm and Savard, it's someone, right? I'm saying David Savard to the Winnipeg Jets. I could also see the Florida Panthers with the loss of Aaron Ekblad. Matthias Ekholm, I think with the Preds spot kind of going towards the playoffs, I think they could just keep Ekholm. He's got term left into the next year, but if I do see a trade, it's the Boston Bruins. Nick Foligno, the Toronto Maple Leafs. If the Leafs miss out on one of those top-tier wingers that they want to kind of go big, I think Nick Foligno's the next guy. If they don't want to give up much more than maybe like a third or second round pick, if the Blue Jackets can retain 50%, they haven't been doing well, I could see a Foligno trade to the Leafs. But then does Kerfoot have to go back? I mean, that's a conversation. Ryan Dzingel, I could see the Oilers just buying low on a Dzingel. I don't think they're going to do anything crazy. I mean, we've talked about Rickard Rakell, guys like that, but I don't know if the Oilers are doing anything crazy. And that kind of goes down the list. I'll skip a few names here and just talk about the Oilers. They could be trade partners with the Red Wings. Ken Holland, former GM of the Red Wings. I'm just looking at a possible scenario where you acquire. There's been a lot of smoke around Luke Glendening to the Oilers. Usually when there's smoke, there's some kind of fire. So I could see maybe a Glendening-Bernier to the Oilers, and maybe you could send Cap back in the form of either Chason or even Koskinen. I wonder if there's a scenario there. But I do think there's something there that the Wings and Oilers could get a trade done. Eric Holla, if he does get traded, he could stay. I could see the Penguins. The Penguins need depth. I could see Eric Hall, a great fit on the center and wing spots. I would also like him on the Leafs, but Granlund, he's been associated with the Leafs. I think there's other teams like the Islanders, maybe the Avalanche, but he could just end up staying. I mean, there's been a couple times where Granlund's like, okay, is he going to move? And then he obviously re-signed with the Preds. Chris Drieger to the Avalanche. I think the Avalanche are going to acquire a goalie. I would almost guarantee it. Yes, they brought in Johansson from Buffalo, and they have Grubauer, but they witnessed and they experienced that in the bubble, that they lost two goaltenders and they went to the third string of Hutchinson. They're not going to let that happen again. They acquire a goalie, whether it's Drieger, whether it's Bernier, whether it's Devin Dubnyk. I know it's in the same division, but it will happen. They will acquire a goalie. All right, some more names here. Brandon Montour. I think the Buffalo Sabres, they're going to trade a Montour or Colin Miller. Miller has had a really bad season. I mean, a bunch of guys on the Sabres, right? Montour, I could see him go to the Panthers. I would say it's more likely that the Sabres re-sign Montour than Colin Miller. So if it's not Montour, I could see Colin Miller being moved. Maybe the Winnipeg Jets acquire two defensemen. So that's a possibility. But I could see Montour being a fit with the Panthers, especially with the injury to Ekblad. But they could acquire a bigger name. Scott Laughton, I think he potentially stays with the Flyers. But he would be a great option for the Leafs' third line spot. So if the Flyers feel closer to the deadline here in a week, if they're out of the playoff race or they feel it's too far-fetched and they want to get something for a pending UFA and Scott Laughton, I could see the Leafs being a fit. Rickard Rakell, I think he stays. He's still got term. He's not a pending UFA. I've obviously talked about teams that could go after him, the Islanders, the Leafs, the Oilers, go down the list, right? But I'm just thinking, is it really a time right now with a cap strapped and like teams being in a tough situation, they're going to get the most? I think they could get the most in the offseason. I could see Rickard Rakell being traded, but I just think it's an offseason move. Vince Dunn, like I said, stays, or I could see the Bruins being a fit. I think Vince Dunn, he could also be in a move where it's like the Blues are acquiring because they're still trying to play for the push for the playoffs, and I could see them just moving on from Vince Dunn. They've been frustrated with him at times. Tanner Pearson, I think the Canucks kind of want to keep him for a couple of reasons. One, they like his style, his two-way game, but also two, he's really good friends with Bo Horvat. They don't want to just tear up chemistry with the team, especially in tough times. So I could see him staying, but the Islanders, for me, if they miss out on Palmieri, miss out on those guys, I think Pearson's an option. Bobby Ryan, I'm saying Golden Knights. I don't think the Golden Knights, well, for one, they don't have the cap space, but for two, I don't think they're going for a big name. They could use a middle six guy. I could see Bobby Ryan being a fit. Mark Stahl, if Mark Stahl is available, the Red Wings retain. I could see the Bruins going after Mark Stahl. I mean, if they miss out on bigger defensemen, but either way, I could see the Bruins acquiring 2 defensemen before the deadline, especially with John Moore out. He's going to be on LTIR. They got a little bit of space there. I could see them going after 2 defensemen before the deadline. Alex Goligoski, I think he might stay, but he's the one pending UFA that where Arizona's pushing for a playoff spot, which is crazy to say based on what we saw a couple weeks ago. But I think if he doesn't stay, the Flyers or Bruins could be potentials there. The Flyers, you saw how costly it was to lose a guy like Niskanen. I think Goligoski could be a guy that plays on the top line potentially, or top pair with Provorov. And then, like I said, the Bruins, I think they're going to acquire 1 or 2 defensemen. Alexander Kerfoot, if the Leafs make a trade for Foligno or maybe 2 guys from Columbus, Kerfoot would be going the other way most likely. And then Sam Bennett, I could see the Penguins, like I said, going after a couple depth players. Sam Bennett could be a fit in Pittsburgh. Let's just throw out a couple hot takes, right? Hot takes. Tony DeAngelo, I still don't think he's going to get moved. And I think his NHL days are over. But I've been wrong before. A lot of people have been wrong before. Maybe the Florida Panthers take a flyer. If the Panthers cannot acquire a defenseman, the prices are too high, they just don't see a fit, and they go, hey, Tony DeAngelo, maybe the Rangers will take an incentive or something like that. Who knows? But I could see it happening. Boone Jenner, I've been pushing it for so long, for a couple of years now, or at least over a year. Boone Jenner to the Leafs. If they don't get a third-line center, if they don't get like a Scott Laughton, I would love a Scott Laughton, but I would also love a Boone Jenner. If the Leafs could go after Boone Jenner, if they could figure it out cap-wise where Boone Jenner and Nick Foligno to Toronto, retain cap on both players, Kerfoot to Columbus. Like, if they could figure out something there with a bigger package, picks, prospects, I would do it from Toronto. Those 2 guys both have an edge. They would fit perfectly in the middle 6, third line potentially too. So I love it a lot. Josh Manson to the Panthers or Jets. I think for Shovel Day Off, if he misses out on David Savard, misses out on a couple defensemen, I think he calls Bob Murray and goes, hey, what's the price for Josh Manson? I could see it happening. Anthony Mantha, another hot take. I don't think the Red Wings want to trade him, but he hasn't had the greatest year. He's been very inconsistent up and down. Put him on a line with Crosby or when Malkin comes back from injury. I could see it, but again, that's why these are hot takes. So let me know what you think. These are my picks. I know I did like 2 teams for each, but hopefully based on my conversation, you kind of know which teams I think are favored for each player. So let me know what you think. For the trades, let me know what you think. If you think there's a lot of trades that are going to happen, like I said, I think a lot of trades could happen in the offseason before the Seattle expansion draft. It's going to be very hit or miss because it's a buyer's market, and so many teams like Arizona, like Nashville, some of these bubble teams that we don't know what they're doing yet. Even Dallas. Like, Dallas has a great chance to still make the playoffs, which is crazy to say. And they've had like 10 overtime losses. So, such crazy storylines. These are the big 25 in my eyes, but there's a lot of other guys. Like, I didn't have Dubnyk there, Colin Miller, go down the list. There's a lot of other guys that I'll be talking about during the NHL trade deadline stream. And I'm also going to be posting a video talking about what each team could target. So, going through all 31 NHL teams, what each team could target in terms of player, draft pick, whatever it is, right? And just in general, guys, thank you so much for the support. Please subscribe if you're new. Smash the like button. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. This was John from MCKAY. Hopefully, I'll see you in the NHL trade deadline stream. All the videos coming up. And just be safe. Hope you're well. Have a good one. This was John from MCKAY. Have a good one. Peace out.